Hi, everyone, and welcome to the International Society for Telemedicine and eHealth webinar, hosted by the Working Group on Women. Wow. I'm Angélica Batista Silva, researcher in Human Rights Department from National School of Public Health, Sérgio Louca, that is a technical unit of Oswaldo Cruz Foundation Brazil. And I am co-moderating today's session. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you. Before we begin, I'd like to express my sincere gratitude to Dr. Michelle Griffiths, President of International Society for Telemedicine and eHealth. Dr. Griffiths' leadership and vision have been instrumental in expanding the society global impact, and we are honored to have her support and for the WOW initiative. I also extend warm thanks to Veronique Toveno and Pirko Kuri, whose dedication continues to foster inclusive and transformative digital health practices around the world. I'm also delighted to be co-moderating today's session with Dr. Siriani Padmalata. Did I say your name is correctly?
Yes, exactly.
Whose
Thank you
expertise
very much
and
for
commitment to
Angelica.
digital health equity are deeply valued.
Thank
Today,
you. Thank you so
webinar.
much. Thank you, Angelica. Thank you so much. So I'm Dr. Sriani Fatmalata. So I'm the chair of the Nursing and Midwifery Group. So we will be moderate these two sessions. First session will go to the Angelica, will moderate with the Renda, and I will moderate with the Elite. So let's start our webinar. So I think that we have pleasant time for this webinar. Thank you so much. Angelica, for you.
Today's webinar explores a vital and timely theme: decolonial information technologies, challenges for design from intersectional and feminist perspectives in human-algorithm interaction. This conversation is part of our broader mission to amplify diverse voices and perspectives in digital health. Our work is grounded in self-epistemologies, human rights, and holistic understanding of digital health ecosystem. We believe that intersectionality, considering race, gender, and economic status, is essential in guiding public policies and designing technologies that truly serve all communities. We are honored to welcome our distinguished speakers, Dr. Ellen Nas and Dr. Renata Frade, who will share their insights on feminist and intersectional approaches to human-algorithmic interaction. Dr. Ellen will speak first, followed by Dr. Renata Frade. Let's make this session a space for dialogue, learning, and collective participation and action. Thank you for joining us, and let's begin. Where is Dr. Ellen? Dr. Ellen, the word is yours. Where is it?
Hello.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Oh,
Yes. A little.
okay.
Can you up your voice? Your voice is...
Okay. So first of all, I'd like to thank the First Nations of all lands and the first people who came to the land, because we are going to talk about values, and we always value the ones who stepped the land before us. This is one part. I am Ellen Nas. I am a PhD in bioethics, applied ethics and public health. My thesis, which I published many papers about since 5 years ago, it was about artificial intelligence and bioethics. And I am also related to technology as a master in design, and I am indigenous from Puri ethnic group. So it's my presentation running.
No.
Is my presentation running? Oh, okay.
Yes. Now yes.
No, this is not the first one. Okay. Yeah, so it was, I was presenting myself. I also participate on the group AI for Africa, which it's a group of scholars from all over the world, especially in Africa, and also from other groups, Latin American groups as Tierra Común. And I recently participated as a speaker for the Feminist AI research group, talking about how many bodies it takes to make an AI. So we are going to, can you change so this chapter was led by me. Once Angelica invited me, I invited Renata to collaborate, and we combine issues like decoloniality issues I've been looking at. And so okay, I'd like to, you have this, the second slide is just, I was showing from, can you put the second slide? The second slide, okay. This is just to show, because our life experiences also are important to how we approach things. So since the end of the 80s, I've been participating in as an activist and leader in the students movement and also in feminist movement. So these are just a few pictures I found where I was participating in a theater a feminist group was making to show some concepts to the people. So this it was from the end of 80s, the beginning of 90s. But this is, I learned a lot of care and affection and sorority, even before people were talking about sorority. So this is a very important background for me. And so can you change? Can you change the... So we are going to talk about human-computer interaction and human-algorithm interaction. There are issues when we think that human-computer interaction concerns the interaction with computer and other devices like smartwatches and phones and any other device that is involved with computing. And can you change? Yeah, the second one is when we talk about human-algorithm interaction, we are talking about the frontier interactions such as AI and when we are in social media. And both interactions, they influence and learn from human behavior. And so what we know is like when we put a decolonial approach, we are questioning the quality of data. And the feminist approach, we also questions methodology. Which methodology is using is like top-down, is reinforcing hierarchies. So these are questions also present in design justice discussion, and all of those concepts like decolonial, feminist, and design justice and others, we are questioning epistemology and thinking we need to work with alternate epistemological frameworks, and not only that, using alternate epistemological frameworks, but also acknowledging there are other ways of doing and seeing and understanding things. So this is also important. So what we have is nowadays we question what is happening with equal rights. So because new systems use old data and data that represent old practices from unjust society. So we are living in an automated inequality. And once it has been noticed and criticized, we have this polarization in society where defenders of AI in developments of industry and all of that try to ignore and disregard all those criticisms, and even to pretend these problems don't exist. But the problem is once we universalize human characteristics and human needs, and all these concepts and categories and labels, they are inside human-computer interaction, and they are inside human-algorithm interaction, they are inside AI. So we are creating a situation where we have difficulties to question inside those systems how can we present different perspectives and preserve also the human universal rights. So can you change, please? So we found I bring up few examples to know why we are talking about the colonial perspective or feminist perspective or about design justice is because we are noticing problems, all society, we as society are noticing problems. So the first thing is like one example, Amazon used AI. It was a development that started in 2014, using AI to find top talent. So what was people start to notice from 2015, 10 years ago, is that if AI learned from past data, which is the success model for the better candidate. So the most candidates, for example, in the tech industry, they were males from a certain group and all of that. So what we have at the end is it's these AI tools for hiring, just replicating old ideas. Can you change the other one? So another problem that is often find is ageism. So one case is like I tutor from U.S. government rejected candidates over 15 years old, women over 15 years old as well. So in that case, people notice. Once people notice, they sue. They went to court. But we still have the problem is like in computer science, we still have these learnings and database. They are being used often in different situations. So can you change for so another example is like when Facebook ads was showing jobs jobs for opportunities for males. So what we will have in result is more males will apply for those jobs. So it's another way that is reinforcing, and the logic behind it is like they were using data that was showing men were more likely to click than women for these opportunities. So another one is when we talk about indigenous, it is an issue I've been looking at with more attention, is we have problems of epistemic justice and aesthetic as well. So I didn't bring up some examples I have in this issue, but usually if you ask AI, for example, to make images, if you ask AI to create a scene of people, if you put people in general, person in general, it will always be white. And then if you want these to be more diverse, what will happen is it can create segregations. And so what we have segregation in a way that we will have just one group, for example, of indigenous people, dark-skinned people, Black people. So one important thing when we think about it's not superficial to think that people need to see themselves represented in AI in terms of ideas, visions, and images, because we need to have the sense of belonging to the society and not become a problem to the standards, to the patterns. So this is another, again, it's about diversity, and there are a lot of questions and uses of AI for indigenous community, but we need to understand how to change this scenario, which is inside of a big database. So another one is when we talk about Black people, the people of color in general, there are many examples raised by Cathy O'Neil in Weapons of Mass Destruction, when Latinos with less money, less resources were paying more for insurance for their cars, or Black women were paying more. It's not this the slide, this I think is the previous one. And when people were paying more, like Black women were paying more for health insurance because they were out of the patterns in some issues like weight and things like that. And in the criminal justice, we also have a lot of examples as the ones raised by ProPublica. So when we talk about values, because what we needed and what we have as a challenge is how to embed values inside AI systems, and how we practice these values when we are doing things with technology in groups and communities. So the value for decolonial design, it's openness for plurality of ideas and visions, diversity and culture, and we have to embrace the unknown, because it's so easy to classify what is not, what you cannot understand. It's easy to classify as something that is out of the pattern, so it's lower in value. Another thing we have, feminist values. the common values when there are feminist questions is like cultivating relations and feminist ethics. For instance, it's always about relations. How can we cultivate relations, having empathy and respect and recognizing the values of one another. And so this is also another way that we need to dispute narratives, the narratives which are too individual and competitive and so on. So another thing when we think about indigenous inputs, it's that technological developments must be done with respect to Earth and people, respect to human rights, indigenous rights, and so on. And finally, when we talk about Black Lives Matter, it's about how we can fight the necropolitics that is inside computer systems that are always targeting Black people and other people of color as a threat, as a criminal, as not worthy, and so forth. So I will finish here, and I will come back for the final remarks. Okay, I will stop here.
Hello.
Hello. I will stop here.
Hi.
Yes.
Hi. Can you put your slides? Thank you, Ellen. Can you put your slides, Renata, and continue?
Yes.
This is instigating.
Before we started, we will need to introduce to our audience. Please if you have any question for our first speaker, please keep in on the text box. We can answer these questions later after the Renta presentation. We will discuss question and answer session after two presenters finish. Okay, thank you so much. You can continue, Angelica.
Okay, thank you, Siriana. You can go on, Renata.
I think like intersection is a mid webinar. And I will maybe have a frase about technology that
your sound is not regular.
No?
No.
I don't see what is going on. Let me check. I will turn my phone off. Are you listening?
Yes, it's better. You can go.
Well, as I was saying, I'm a doctor of communication technologies at the University of Aveiro and University of Porto. I'm also been working as a researcher at the University of São Paulo, artificial intelligence group since 2021. And I'm also a member of several groups related to feminism and technology, such as at Gender, and also the International Artificial Feminism group. So this presentation is a mix of both my PhD research and also other groups that I've been working on this HCI and also feminism and also communication and technologies scientific domains. Well, in this presentation, I will bring some contextual reflections from the perspective of design especially HCI, and its interdisciplinary intersection with feminism. This approach broadens our critical thinking about the use and development of technological platforms and tools. In the epistemology of feminism, concepts and debates about social justice and power have been present since the first wave of the feminist movement. The same occurs in theories of technological feminism concerning how access to and uses of technologies can interfere with and shape gender identities and expressions. A new branch of human-computer interaction or human-machine interaction is Feminist HCI, which analyzes aspects related to the design of technological artifacts as well as software and artificial intelligence systems that can either inhibit or amplify feminist voices, especially in online communication. This line of research also aims to analyze the presence of bias, racism, prejudice, and violence embedded in the hardware and software of the technological products due to the lack of diverse and inclusive design process. This plurality is present in the incorporation of cultural, social, political, economical expressions of both producers and consumers in the development and consumption of these artifacts. Technology is never neutral. Gigi Walkman once said that, and it was repeated from many feminist researchers all over the world. Each artifact we design embeds assumptions about who matters, whose needs count, and whose voices are heard. By analyzing these underlying dynamics, we can uncover how systems reproduce gender ratio and colonial hierarchies. Our goal here is to show how combining feminist HCI, design justice, intersectionality, and decoloniality allow us to see technology as both a product and a producer of power. Together, these frameworks challenge dominant paradigms that naturalize inequality in design process. Feminist HCI, proposed by Schwartz-Barzel and colleagues, situates design within feminist theory. It prioritizes inclusivity, diversity, and user agency. Rather than focusing only on usability, Feminist HCI asks, what experience and values shape technology? It uses feminist stand-up point theory to acknowledge that knowledge is situated and that positionality matters. As a starting point, one must distinguish between feminist HCI and gender HCI. The latter focuses on behavioral differences and their actionable design implications, aiming to contribute to more inclusive technologies. Feminist HCI views gendered technological differences as reflections of the ways women are subordinated and face injustice as women. Computing is the domain where these dynamics manifest, and HCI is suspected of complicity in perpetuating structural sexism. Its challenge is to reformulate HCI questions related to gender in new and generous ways, according to the authors. They were very categorical, affirming also and making an important distinction. Feminism is not gender research, and feminist HCI is not the same as gender in computing. Gender in computing constitutes a domain of research, whereas feminist social science is characterized more by a body of theories and methodologies historically achieved through questioning women's lived experiences. In recent years, feminist HCI design work has emphasized female makers and hacker spaces, motherhood as life stage, postpartum technologies, and responses to street harassment. Feminist HCI also builds on feminist stand-up theory to explicitly value marginal perspectives, according to Decolonial and Klein. Feminism can help make visible the ways in which design configure users as gender and social subjects, and what implications these configurations have for the future of design work. According also to Barzo, the feminist HCI methodology is grounded in feminist epistemology, such as standpoint theory, feminist empiricism, or feminist postmodernism, and must engage with HCI epistemologies. The authors propose the following feminist HCI methodology: simultaneous commitment to scientific and moral objectivities, connection with feminist theory, what that makes HCI methodology feminist, commitment to methodological coherence. Methods must be chosen and used based on consistent assumptions, commitments, and objectives. Empathic relationship with research participants focused on understanding their experiences. Self-disclosure by the researcher, revealing their position and objectives in the world. Co-construction of core research activities and objectives. Researchers and participants must collaborate on research questions, method selection, implementation, and data analysis. Diverse and or mixed methods to support dialectical information gathering and knowledge production, and reflexivity. The research must be characterized by continuous self-questioning as to whether it fulfills its feminist ambitions. Feminist standpoint theory is a form of critical theory with an emancipatory bias, which should represent the world in relation to the interests of the oppressed, enable the oppressed to understand their problems, and be usable by them to improve their condition, according to Anderson. Associating this theory with feminism, HCI, can be a relevant analytical and methodological element in global South countries such as Brazil, marked by significant social, economical, cultural, and occupational inequalities. Incorporating conceptual elements of this theory into feminist HCI methodologies means broadening the universality of technologies for women or feminists, reducing inequalities, strengthening diversity and inclusion, especially in training new programmers and users, not necessarily only young ones. In addition to feminist HCI, it's important to refer to other concepts that are not only relevant to reflection on feminist technologies, but also to the consumption of more inclusive methodologies, such as post-colonial computing, which focuses on questions of power, authority, legitimacy, participation, and in context of cultural encounter with contemporary globalization. Intersectional HCI, that addresses the complexity of users and designers' identities and situates these identities with their contextual surroundings. Anti-oppressive design, which considers how values are embedded both in technological design and the environments in which technology is built and researched. And design justice, that focuses on how design reproduces and is reproduced by systems of domination, which are white supremacy, heteropatriarchy, capitalism, etc. Decolonial theory, particularly from Latin American and global South scholars, critiques the colonial logic embedded in knowledge production. In design, this means questioning Western centric models of innovation and valuing indigenous and local epistemologies. Decolonial HCI calls for community sovereignty, autonomy, and a multiplicity of worldviews in technological development. Sasha Constanza Chock's Design Just Network redefined design as a collective, community-led practice. It resists extractive and oppressive systems by centering those most affected. Design justice challenges the role of the designer as expert and promotes facilitation, collaboration, and redistribution of power. In this sense, design becomes a political and ethical act. Design justice is conceptualized as a framework for analyzing how design distributes benefits and burdens among various groups of people. It explicitly centers on the ways design reproduces, challenges the matrix of domination, and also is a growing community of practices that seeks to ensure a more equitable distribution of design's benefits and burdens, meaningful participation in design decisions, and recognition of community-based, indigenous and diasporic design traditions, knowledge and practices. It's an organization that has defined a set of practices to consider to embody social justice in design, such as use design to sustain and empower communities, freeing them from exploitative and oppressive systems, prioritize the voices of those directly impacted of design outcomes, focus on the community impact of design rather than the designer's intention, view change as emerging from a responsible, accessible, and collaborative process, not as final endpoint, understand the designer's role as a facilitator, not as an expert, believe that everyone is an expert based on their own lived experiences within a design process, share design knowledge and tools within communities, work towards sustainable community-led and community-controlled outcomes, seek non-exploitative solutions that recommend with the earth and with others. Before seeking new design solutions, identify what already works at the community level and honor and elevate traditional, indigenous, and local knowledge as practices. Together, these perspectives reveal that technologies not only solve problems, but also create new hierarchies. They equip us with ethical and methodological tools to resist bias, racism, and structural violence in design. Through them, we can reimagine technology as a site of justice, not domination. Digital health tools, apps, wearables, data systems, for instance, often reproduce social disparities in access, privacy, and representation. Applying these critical frameworks enables participatory, context-aware design. It transforms patients, for instance, into co-designers and communities into agents of their own digital health narratives. By combining feminist, intersectional, and decolonial ethics, we move toward technologies that empower rather than marginalize. This means embedding justice not only in outcomes, but in every phase: research, design, deployment, and evaluation. Design thus becomes a form of activist scholarship committed to social transformation. Reimagining digital health through these lenses allows us to build systems that are inclusive, culturally responsive, and ethically grounded. Justice-oriented design is not an optional perspective. It's necessary for the future of equitable technology. And I want to finish my presentation bringing you this book that was edited and co-authored by me and 7 other amazing women researchers, Technofeminism, Multi and Interdisciplinary Contemporary Views on Women in Technology. This book was designed to address theories and concepts of technofeminism related to STEM, to games, artificial intelligence, design, HCI, gender and transgender, digital arts, education. And one of the most important highlights is the interview with Dr. Judy Walkman, who is the most important technofeminism theory researcher in the world. She is the emeritus professor of sociology at the London School of Economics. So you can download the book through this QR code. And once again, thank you very much for your attention. It was really nice to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Renata. Dr. Ellen, can you come back to end the presentation?
Hi, the presentation is with Sriniani, yes.
Okay.
I want to finish. Okay.
All right.
So many information.
Sure, this is the time for Q&A. So I would want to
It's
know
important
if there are
to
any questions, and you can discuss.
Sriani, can you share your screen again?
Yes, sure.
Thank you. Yes, so the final remarks for this chapter is the last ones. It's with all those questions, how can we dismantle the side effects of emerging technologies in favor of equal rights? Because this is what the colonial approaches and feminist approaches are about. And how can we promote practices that listen to people before any implementation? How can we value inclusion and collaboration? And let the people measure the costs and benefits of each new technology implementation and innovation. So this, for example, is one example from World Health when people think about implement telemedicine to listen to people. This sounds obvious now that we all, for all that we were listening from our presentations, it all sounds obvious, but it's not really obvious. So we still have the challenge of putting in practice the ethical principles, bioethical principles of listen to the people, not thinking specialists are in a higher position than the community, valuing the community knowledge, and let the community to decide. So these are the final remarks when we are talking about telemedicine and AI developments and distance learning and all those technologies. To recognize that we have epistemic distances between people from different communities in Africa or in Brazil, or people who are not related to the technologies as the global north. So we don't have, many people don't have the cognitive relation and learning as other people. So we need to acknowledge when we implement technologies or talk about technologies and sit together and discuss together. And this is our challenge, and this is what we advocate for. Thank you very much.
Yes, so we have one question from the Matti Jewel Rothman. So first of all, she has mentioned our presentation is very fantastic. So she asked about from Elena and the Renta, how do we ensure that AI model are based on the right data, and do we have right to data sets? Very good questions. When we dealing with the AI, data is very important. So do you have any comment on the ethical accept of the data for data, and which data will be continued with the feminism? So Elena?
Hi. I will answer the first part, and I will let the second part to Renata. So we have, since more than 10 years, a lot of researchers around the world, and we have this important report when the GDPR was launched, the European regulation for the technologies. And we have a report when computers decide, which is a very interesting one, which we need to create new data. As scholars, we need to make projects that create data ethically, as we understand ethically. So usually all the technological developments, they reuse data. This is a big problem. So they reuse data from different things, because as much data you have is better for the learning, for the computer learning, deep learning, and all of those methods. So we need to create new databases in which we can look at the ethics from the beginning of the design. This is the first thing. So, and we also need now, as it's not so easy to create a new database, because it takes time, it takes a lot of investments. We need auditability. So we need to assess the systems and have transparency to understand, oh, we see a problem here. So how can we mitigate this problem? How can we understand where this problem started to then change it? So these are the main questions we have still now running, because what happened, the industry is not so interested in regulation, because it stops or it make it slower the developments as they wish. So this is when we as a society, an informed society, need to intervene. Thank you.
Yes, because data is the big problem and big availability, and also the data is used for most in innovation development. So Renta, do you have any idea about or any comment on these questions?
Well, I agree with Ellie. I think that there's a huge lack of regulation all over the world related to artificial intelligence in general. And it's very hard to ensure many things related to AI development since from the beginning, since from its concept as platforms, and also all the algorithm structure behind them, because we are not allowed to see, because they belong to big tech companies, and the communication and the commercialization of it is not transparent. So it's very hard to to ensure, I think that this question could be another webinar, because it's a huge and complex discussion. But I think that when we say the right data, it's something that we must pay attention, because what means radar data for me, it cannot be radar data for instance, for indigenous people. So it's something that it's an interdisciplinary reflection and work to be done, and I'm not seeing any kind of study or no academic study, yes, but any efforts from governments and also the industry to pay attention to from the beginning of the information architecture of these AI models, and also the kind of information that circulates in it, because there are lots of, as I mentioned in my presentation, lots of prejudice and bias, and it's something very simple. I'm sorry, there's a rainbow here. I'm sorry. But something very common to find when we use, for instance, Claude or Perplexity, and when we ask something, and it's a very silly exercise, but when we ask something and it gives back the answer, and it always assuming we are men. Most of the questions we make, they assume we are men. So it's something very complex to give you an answer, but I think there is a lot of a lack of regulation, and big techs are eating our data, and we have to struggle to do something related to this. That's why we are researching. I think so.
Yes. So yes, thank you so much for your both of your detailed answer. Actually, we are the researcher and we work on the ethics and ethical manner. So at that case, for the AI, I don't think so how ethical guideline develop to protect our data or develop new data, because the AI can develop new data, but most probably we use new data from the previous data. So we don't know distinguish which data come from this source and which data come from that source. When we develop the model, we need to testing data and training data. So testing data and training data same come from the either one person or either previous data. So it is hard to distinguish. And however, data protection and data use of data for equally from the male and female researchers would be beneficial for development of future research in ethical. That's what we want to give the message for today webinar, because feminism and criticism are going with parallel word in today scenario. Anyway, we are working for women in this group. So this webinar for all, for not for women, I would encourage and I would happy to invite all the men and women to discuss openly this manner about ethical, how we use new technology in without less bias.
But feminism is for all.
Yes. So we have time. So we have another question, same Matty. So big challenge with data model based on the many representatives. So totally agree in big question. Yes, everyone we know it's big question, but still question we are going well. So Angelica,
want
do you
to
have
only,
anything to remark?
Siriani, I want to only to say to our guests that this discussion is on this book.
Oh.
They can't see.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, this book, a chapter of this book that Ellen and Renata, Ellen is the first author of a chapter of this book that is in internet, okay? And Matt, that asked, has written other chapter and will be with us debating.
Yes. Yes, because the AI is other thing is AI is universal language. So AI can help you to protect your data and also visualize your data. And also you can ask some question from the AI, what we want to do. Especially we can think about how to develop. Even we need to think about how to develop the the chapter, those who can leading on the AI in woman group or female group. So I want to tell about little bit about our working group. So in the International Society of Telemedicine and e-health, we have different type of working group, all working group working with the AI, especially most of the working group is telehealth group. They're working on different health system in the human body, and they are going to develop different assessment tool, diagnostic tool, and also the intervention tool using the digital health. And they communicate patients and other healthcare workers by the e-health and telemedicine or telehealth. And our working group, I representative with nursing, telenursing and midwifery working group, and we work on the woman working group also. So we combine with helping each other and trying to go for series of webinar. So our nursing and telenursing and midwifery working group will be held next webinar. We mostly focus on how female healthcare and nursing personnel can join to active develop AI tool for patient assessment, diagnosis, and intervention, especially for nursing care. So thank you so much for today webinar and join all of around the world. So we are so happy to successful this first webinar. So we will hope you may receive some information. Angelica, you have some words?
I want to thank you very much, Dr. Ellen and Dr. Renata. You inspire, your words inspiring us for our equity plan. The feminism will inspire us for our equity plan for women in digital health. I expect to construct this with in the next year. And thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you so much for all the presenters. And also thank you for the participant. And I would thanks for the International Society of Telemedicine and e-health. And thank you so much. So this is the ending remark of today's webinar. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I hope to see you again on the next meeting.
Bye.
Sure.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
E é isso.